Good day. I'm Dr. Chrissy Ira Manapat Celebrados, and I will be discussing about nutritional assessment, growth monitoring, and requirements of infants and young children. So this is just the outline of what we are going to discuss. So the nutritional assessment, we have the measurements, the charts, the classifications, and for the nutritional requirements, its definition, determinants, and the RENI. Okay. So first we have the nutritional assessment. So what is assessment of nutritional status? So we all know that in pediatrics, no, well, hindi naman pediatrics lang, but even in adults as well, we know that nutritional status is an integral part, okay, of our care, both in well and sick child. Okay, so there are three factors that affect the nutritional status. We have the food, the care, and the environment. Okay, so tatlo sila. So what are the determinants of good nutritional status? So to be able to obtain good nutritional status, we should have first, with regards to the environment, we should be aware that the environment should be healthy. There should be adequate health services available for the child. And of course, we should promote active lifestyle. And for the care, even though there's a caregiver, no, we should always ensure that the caregiver, the parents or the grandparents, they should be responsive when it comes to care of the child. For example, if the child is sick, they should be responsive enough to take action in bringing the child to a doctor. Okay? And for the food, it should be what? Optimal, okay? Good quality, and good quantity. Okay, so there are occasions that the child is fed but with junk food. So hindi rin siya optimal. Okay, so we should know the quantity and the quality of food given to the child. Okay, so all of this will lead to good nutritional status of your patient. Okay, and of course we have the adequate maternal nutrition, especially in utero, so that we can be ensured, no, that the child, that the baby to be delivered is well nourished. Okay, so that's also part of our history taking, especially in attending newborn babies. So what will happen if optimal nutritional status is not achieved? No, everything in excess is bad, and everything that is deficient is also bad. No, so we have the undernutrition and overnutrition. Okay, so mga obese, no, sobrang taba, no, those who are overweight, they still fall in the category of malnutrition. Okay. So this is just a spectrum of malnutrition. Okay, as you can see, we have the normal, the stunted, the wasted, the underweight, and your obese. Okay. So lahat sila, no? Anything in excess, sobrang taba, and sobrang payat, all of them are abnormal, no, or considered as malnourished. So what are the methods of comprehensive nutritional assessment? Okay, so in nutritional assessment, we have the direct and indirect assessment. So your indirect, these are the so-called community health indices. So ecological factors, economic factors, and for example, the job of the parents, no, the capacity to buy nutritious food, no, and your vital health status, no, especially dun sa family. Okay, and those that fall in the direct nutritional assessment, this is based on each patient. No, this is objective criteria. Okay, we have four assessment types, no, that will fall under your direct nutritional assessment. Okay. So the first one is your anthropometry. This defines the physical measures, no, of your patient. Okay, this is the measurement of the dimensions of the body, especially the muscle, the fat tissue, no, the bone, lahat yan, kasama yan sa weight. For example, no, this is your body mass index, lahat yan. The head circumference, chest circumference, all of them will fall under anthropometry. In biochemical, these are the laboratory examinations that you will request in order to help with the diagnosis of your patient when it comes to nutritional deficiencies. Okay, So kailangan talaga before you request your laboratory examinations, you should make sure that you are guided by your clinical assessment or your physical examination and history. Okay? As for the clinical, this is the visual assessment of the child. What you can see, no, you should be able to identify the different signs of malnutrition. Like for example, no, sa kwashiorkor, we have your kwashiorkor and marasmus, di ba? We have your what? The flag sign, even the presence of edema. Okay, lahat yan. No? This may give you an idea if the patient has malnutrition or not. Okay, so this uses physical signs. Okay, not just malnutrition, but also some micronutrient deficiencies. As for the dietary, this is assessment of the actual food intake. So again, no, very important for us to check or make sure that the patient is receiving quality food and in good amount or sufficient amount, okay, quantitative. No? So usually we request the patient to have a food diary wherein they will just jot down the type of food and how much is the child taking for that particular day. Okay. Now, the anthropometry and the clinical assessment, no, are very important for midwives. Why the midwives? Okay, because we are not just talking about your own clinic here or the private practice. We are talking about the health centers or those centers or clinics in the rural areas. Most of the midwives, they are deployed in these centers and they are the ones manning the health center. So, kadalasan there are shortage of doctors, no? So the midwives are the frontliners when it comes to catering children. Okay, they sometimes they are authorized to do immunizations, and at the same time they are authorized to, of course, no, to take the anthropometry and quick assessment of the child before they refer that particular child to the doctor. Okay. So let's go to anthropometry. This is used to assess growth. Okay, but of course, before you assess growth or you take your measurements, you should ensure the accuracy of your anthropometric measurements. Okay, first you make sure that your equipment is accurate, and then make sure that your measurement techniques is also accurate and up to date. Okay, and you will make sure also, no, that you are using the reference standards, okay? Especially in interpreting your measurements. So the most common anthropometric measurements taken are your weight, the length or the height, the head circumference, especially up to 3 years of age, no? The children below 3 years old, because we know that the maximal brain growth of children is up to 2 years old. Okay, so you need to always take your head circumference. Okay? Beyond that, beyond 3 years of age, pwedeng hindi na. Okay, unless there are you have clinical findings to do so. And of course, your BMI or body mass index. So tasks be performed in growth assessment. We have your MPIA. First, you measure the weight, length, height, the BMI, and then you plot these measurements on growth charts. And then after you plot, you interpret, and of course, you act to address if there are any signs of poor growth, no, to be able to correct, okay, the problem, no, leading to poor growth of your patient. In measuring the weight, we should just make sure that we are using a good weighing scale. No? Make sure that it is stable, durable, no, and solidly built. As much as possible, we prefer the digital reading. Okay? And it measures up to 150 kilograms, measures to a precision of 0.1 kilogram or 100 grams, and allows paired weighing. So paired weighing means the scale can be reset to 0 with the person just weighed still on it. So hindi bumababa yung parent. Okay? While remaining on the scale, if she is given her child to hold, the child's weight alone appears on the scale. So what are the advantages of paired weighing? So you don't need to subtract weights, no, to determine the child's weight alone, thus reducing the risk of error. Okay, so most of the time in our setting, no, we just subtract. No? First, we measure the parent, and then after that, let the parent carry her child, no, while still standing on the scale, and then mina-minus lang natin. Okay? So most of the time, there are chances na magkaroon ng error. Okay? So, and at the same time, the child likely to remain calm, no? Lalo na if he or she is being weighed while being carried by the caregiver. Okay? So, paired weighing. So, these are examples of your weighing scales. The white one is your, or the weighing scale for infants, no? For the infant scale, no? And in some rural areas, we have this type of weighing scale. Okay? So in measuring your weight, no, for example, if the child is less than 2 years old, no, or is unable to stand, okay? So less than 2 years old or unable to stand. Okay, so ibig sabihin, even if the child is 3, 4 years old, but he, she, or 3 or 4 or more, no, age, no, but unable to stand, you can do paired weighing. Okay, but if the child is 2 years or older, no, you will weigh the child alone. No, if the child will be cooperative enough, and the child will stand still on top of the weighing scale platform. Okay, so in babies, they should be weighed naked or make sure that the diaper is dry. Okay, because most of the time when the child is, when the baby is weighed, no, while when the diaper is full, there can be discrepancy with your weight measurement. Okay, so make sure that the diaper is dry, no, and no blankets, no heavy blankets. Okay. So in older children naman, no, minimal clothing lang. Most of the time, they will just go step on the platform, okay, with cell phones in their pockets, with backpacks on. No? So make sure that you remove them before you take their weight. Let's move on to length or height. We have the recumbent length. Let's say recumbent length, lying down, nakahiga. Okay, if a child is less than 2 years old, okay, this is done. No, so 2 years old and below, okay, infants. No, measure the measuring device. So there's a fixed board, no, in a one end, and then there's a movable board on the other end, no, and it needs measurer and assistant. Okay, the assistant will hold the head. Okay, and then the child should be lying flat. Okay, and then the measure holds the knees, no, against the, he will pin down, no, the legs against the board, okay, to make sure it is straight enough, okay, and the feet flat against the end of the movable plate to get the length properly. Okay, so this is an example of your measurement. Okay, by the way, this device is called a infantometer. Okay, infantometer. Okay, wherein you are the device used, no, in taking your length. Okay, so this is an example. This is the movable plate. Okay, so the child's feet are against this side of the movable board. Okay, on this side. So the child's length is, this is 66. So 66.3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. 66.3 centimeters. Now, how about the length, the height, okay? So when the child is standing up, you address it as height, standing height, okay? So if the child is 2 years old and able to stand, or above 2 years old and able to stand, you can use this device, no? The device that you use to measure the height of your patient is called stadiometer. Stadiometer. There is a movable board at one end. The child is standing with body flat against the wall. Then the feet flat against foot piece. Okay. The arms should be comfortably straight, hands on the side, and the measurer's line of sight is perpendicular to base of the board. Okay. So in general, the standing height is about 0.7 centimeters less than the recumbent length. Okay, so this is an example of your measurement using your stadiometer. So the child's head is against this side of the movable board. Okay, so the child's length is 94.2 centimeters. Okay, so as you can see, 94 here, then 0.1, 0.2. Okay, so 94.2 centimeters. In pediatrics, no, we prefer taking the measurement in your height or length in centimeters. Okay. So measure length or height. So what to do now? No? If a child is less than 2 years old but will not want to lie down, no, to get his or her length. Okay. So we can take his or her standing height and just add 0.7 centimeters to convert it to your length. Okay, so the height, for example, of that particular child is 80 while standing, and the actual length will be 80 centimeters plus 0.7 centimeters is equivalent to 80.7 centimeters. Again, why do we need to measure children 2 years old and below while lying down? Eh, doktora, the child can stand naman eh. Why do we need to force the child to lie down? Or why do we need to compute or add 0.7 to make it a standing height, the recumbent length, I mean. Okay? Because we know that children below 2 years old, they have this exaggerated lordosis or your physiologic lordosis. Okay? The curvature of their spine is very somehow bent, no? Affecting the actual length of that child. Okay? So usually this physiologic lordosis will disappear 3 years old and up. Okay, so we need to take the recumbent length or while lying down for children 2 years and below. Okay, now on the other hand, if a child is aged 2 years old, no, or 2 years and beyond, okay, but cannot stand, for example, the child is ill, very ill, no, or there is a physical deformity, okay, measure the recumbent length and subtract 0.7 centimeter to convert it to your height. Okay? So for example, the length of that child is 95 centimeters. She is lying down. You just subtract 0.7. So that will be equivalent to 94.3 centimeters. That will be his or her actual height. Okay? Let's move on to body mass index or your BMI. We know that the BMI is computed using the formula, the weight divided by the length or height in meters squared. For example, no, the weight is 16 kilograms and the height is 105 centimeters. So your BMI will be 16 divided by 1.05. Okay, so you convert it to meters, your centimeters into meters. Okay, just move your decimal place. Okay, so 1.05 squared. So that will be 16 divided by 1.10 equal to 14.54. Okay, or equivalent to 14.5, no, as the BMI. So the BMI is rounded to 1 decimal place. Okay. Now, how do you interpret your BMI? We have the clinical significance and the morbidity. So your computed BMI will depend, no, on what will be its the significance and its along with its morbidity. So those BMI that is below 16, this is severe underweight with high morbidity and mortality rate. Okay, for those with 16 to 16.9, moderate underweight, there's long-term risk to health. 17 to 18.49, mild underweight, and it's associated already with health problems. Now, your normal BMI will be 18.5 to 24.9. Okay, so this is the least risk for morbidity and very minimal cases of mortality. Okay, so your target BMI will be 18.5 to 24.9, the normal BMI. On the other hand, those with obesity naman, okay? So this is the table, no, pertaining to your overweight or your different classes of obesity. Okay, as you can see, from 30 to 34.5 BMI, that's already class 1 obesity. Okay, and the obesity class 3 will be beyond 40 BMI. High degree of risk to health and of course, increased risk of morbidity and mortality. Okay, now let's move on to your mid-upper arm circumference or your MUAC. This usually is not taken, especially here in the private setting, no, in clinical practice. So usually this is done or used in the rural areas kasi very practical to bring just the tape, no? Lalo na doon sa mga malalayong lugar talaga, okay, isolated areas, okay? So this is utilized for children 6 to 59 months of age. Okay, so the following flash before you are the steps on how you take your MUAC. Okay, you just mark the midpoint in between your shoulder and your elbow. Okay, and make sure that the tape is not too loose or not too tight. So we have your MUAC tape. Okay. Now, there are different colors in your tape. Okay. If the MUAC will fall under the red part of your tape, which means below 11.5 centimeters, yung arm circumference of your patient, it means there is severe acute malnutrition already. Okay? So, doon pa lang mabilis siyang ma-assess. Okay? Now, let's move on to plotting growth indicators. Okay? Growth indicators for a child. Okay, we have your length, height for age, the weight for age, weight for length, height. This is done only up to 5 years of age, and your BMI. Okay, we should always make sure that we are using the correct growth charts. There are different growth charts issued by the WHO, so they can be easily accessed, no, or even you can download it from the WHO website. Now, this is an example of early childhood care and development card. Ito yung mga pinamimigay sa health centers natin. Okay? So, as you can see, there is the details of the child and even yung siblings, okay, kasama rin. And of course, included there is the immunization record of the patient. Okay? So, midwives, no, or even the doctors, they always refer to this card whenever there is schedule of the child's visit back to the center. Okay, so birth weight kasama rin, ano? And at the same time, while they are catering the child, this is hindi lang ito. Meron din silang particular record na keep ng health center. Okay. So these are examples, no, of the different growth charts. This one is madaling gamitin kasi foldable lang siya, no. Usually available ito, no. Readily available to for the use of our residents or even consultants, no, or even any doctor, no, who needs to see pediatric patients. Okay, very practical to use kasi madali siyang mag-plot. Okay. Now, this is another example of the health center card. No? Mas bago lang, no? Almost the same, iniba lang ng design. Okay, and then mas malaki na ngayon, no, yung spaces for the immunization of the child. Okay, so the mother is instructed to keep this child and always bring this card whenever they are going back to the center. Okay, so at the back of that card, there is the complete details, no, or the schedule of the immunization, just to remind the parents when to come back. Okay. Now, in the private practice naman, okay, pediatricians most of the time use baby books, okay, or the health record book. There are different types of health record books, no? Most of them supplied by pharmaceutical companies, okay, and some of pediatricians also they have their own version of baby books printed, no, with their names on it, no, or the name of their clinics, okay. So this is an example of the health record book, no, issued by the Philippine Pediatric Society. Okay, so this is how it looks like. And then the table of contents, no. What I am glad about this one is because the different growth charts are already included and may table of contents, so they can be easily accessed, no, on which page, no, particular where you can see if you are looking for a specific growth chart, even the other things that you need to do to your patient, no, like vitamin E supplementation, the worming, even the dental care. Okay, so it's very nice. Okay, so this is a sample page, no, of the health record book. There's the patient's information record, no, the details of the patient, especially newborns. Okay, even the birth record should be the details, no, should be written here. Okay, the newborn screening, the hearing screening should also be included, no? And of course, the parents and the doctor's name. Again, this is a sample of the page, okay, for each visit. Now you can see there's the date, the weight, and the height, okay? So why am I telling you this? Because for you to be to have an idea how we are keeping track of the weight gain of your patient, especially if you are seeing the patient monthly or in a regular basis. You should be able to record the weight, no, of your patient in every visit, okay, or the height, no, head circumference, chest circumference, especially the newborns. You should make sure that your baby is growing very well. No, not just the baby, but also all kids in different age groups as well, okay? You can also see here the developmental achievements, immunizations given, okay? And even your preventive advice, feeding instructions, and of course, you just set the next appointment, okay? So here are few examples of the growth records included in the baby book, okay? So it's color-coded, blue for boys, okay? So you make sure, you make sure that you are using, no, utilizing the correct growth chart. So always check, no, before you plot. Okay, kasi marami minsan nagkakamali, no? Okay, length for age, no, you make sure that you are using the correct growth chart. Okay, so these are for the girls. Okay, it's color pink. Now, in plotting points, no, in the growth chart, okay, like for example, this one, no, this is weight for age for boys. Okay, the age is 0 to 6 months. Now they are interpreted in z-scores. Okay, we are plotting for this particular growth chart the weight versus the age of the patient. Okay, now the boy is 6 weeks old and weighs 5 kilograms. So your patient, no, that particular baby boy is 6 weeks old and weighs 5 kilograms. If we are going to plot, okay, so weeks or age in months, okay, so 1 month, no, 1 week, 2 weeks, no, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, okay. So 6 weeks, and you weigh the patient, and he is weighing 5 kilograms, okay. So you are able to plot it over here. If you are going to look at your chart, it falls under the 0 line, okay. So it means the child's weight is normal, okay. So very easy, very quick to interpret, no, using your charts. Okay, now this is an example, another example of your height for age, no. So you always make sure that because the age is based on the completed months and years, no. Minsan kasi halimbawa, if the parent will tell you na, magbe-birthday na po siya next month, no. You will not say that the child is already, let's say 4 years. So magpo 4 years old na po siya next month. O magpo 4 years old na po siya after 2 months. Okay, within 2 months. Okay? Hindi mo siya ilalagay na 4 years old na. You make sure that you have the completed month. Okay, so age is completed months and years. Okay, so this is an example, no? For example, the child is, according to this, okay, 2 years and 4 months. Okay, and the height is how many? 90, 192. Okay, and then you move on the next time around that you meet the child. Okay, this time, she is what age na? 3 years and 3 months. Okay, so tumaas siya ulit. Okay, because the height is now how many? 98, no? 98 centimeters, and so on. No, the good thing about keeping your record chart, no, you are able to plot, no, and see if the child is really growing or not. So this also reminds us, no, to be compassionate or even extra caring to your patient, no, just for you to be able to gain their loyalty. Kasi the more that they come back to you and you are catering them very well, not treating the child very well, no, and you are listening to their concerns very well, no, you will gain your patient's loyalty. And in that way, each child will, you will be able to supervise their growth, okay? Because they will keep on returning to you, especially during well visits. Okay, so you will be able to plot, okay, kahit pa ilang taon ang lumipas, okay? And you can see that you can now monitor, no, if your patient is really growing or not, okay? So it's much better for you to attach, okay, each patient a copy of their own growth chart, do sa chart nila in your clinic or in our hospital setting. Actually, in FEU, no, here in our institution, we have growth charts, no, in each patient in the outpatient department and as well as in the wards. Okay? Mas maganda kasi siyang napaplot talaga at nakikita, no, not just the illness of the patient, but you can also address if there's any malnutrition present in your patient. Okay? Now, interpret the plotted points for growth indicators. Again, no, the line labeled 0 on each chart represents the median, which is in general the average. Okay. So again, the curved lines are the z-score lines. Okay. That we are using z-scoring na, no? Which is issued by the WHO. Okay, so the lines, no, are numbered positively 1, 2, 3, or negatively -1, -2, -3. Okay, so in general, a plotted point that is far from the median or the 0, no, z-score, no, in either up, no, or going down, no, like -1, -2, up to -3, okay, may represent a growth problem. Okay, but we should also always remember then as clinicians, so we should always consider other factors like the growth trend, the health conditions of your patient, or even the height of the parents. Kasi minsan pagka na-plot mo and you found out that your child is stunted or let's say maliit, no, for his or her age, make sure that you also consider or check, no, the height of the patients as well. Okay. So this is an example for weight for age for girls. Okay. So we have here, no, weight for age. So yung bigat, okay, the weight for age, no, how heavy is your patient, okay? So in this area, the green area, so this is the +2 between +2 and -2, between, no, yung area na yan, okay? That is your normal weight for age, okay? And between -2 and -3 will be your underweight, okay? And below -3, okay, if you plot it in this area, below -3, your patient is having severe, the patient is your severe underweight. Okay, and on the other hand, if it's in this area, okay, above +2 and below, okay, below +3, your patient is overweight. Okay, and of course, above +3 will be obese. Okay. Now, how about the height for age for girls? Okay. So for height for age for girls, okay, so in the green area again will be your normal. Hindi lang yung outright 0 lang dapat because not all children will fall exactly in the 0 line. Okay. So we have margin, okay? We have range, okay, for interpreting your height for age, no? So we have here the area between +3 and above -2. It's still considered normal height for age, okay? Your patient is stunted if she no, will fall between -2 and -3. Severely stunted if it's below -3. Okay. And of course, above +3 will be tall. Okay. How about the weight for height for girls? Okay. So the weight for height for girls, so we have here, okay, below +1 and above -2 will be your normal weight for height. There's possible risk of overweight if it's in this yellow area. Okay. Wasted, no, your child is wasted if the weight for height will fall between -2 and -3 and severely wasted, no, if it will fall below -3. So what do we mean by wasting? Okay, this is a condition that is brought about by acute malnutrition. Sumobrang payat. Okay, so wasted. Okay. Now, when it comes to your BMI, it's almost the same, no? +1 and above -2 will be normal BMI. Okay, so aside from the different values that you are able to compute using your BMI, you can also use this chart. Okay. And overweight, no, between in this area, okay, +2 and +1. In between those two numbers will be your overweight. Thinness, so there's thinness in your patient if this falls between -2 and -3. Okay, let's go back to that slide. And severe thinness, no, if it falls below -3. Now, the question is, no, kasi lagi nagsasabi in this area. What if if a point that is plotted will fall exactly, exacto, no, on the z-score line? Okay, like for example, this one, -2 siya. Okay, so exactly, no, nag-fall siya, the weight for length, no, for this particular patient fell exactly in the -2 line. So ano i-consider natin? Okay, you will consider this patient in the less severe category. Less severe category. Okay? So hindi ito dito na -2, no? Dito mo siya i-fall sa area above -2. Okay, so use the less severe category. Okay? Now, consider all growth charts and observations. So it is important to consider all of a child's growth charts together, especially if one chart will show a problem. Okay? Focus more on the weight for length or height and the length height for age charts. Okay? So length or the height, no, length or height, it's just the same. Okay? The length height for age reflects attained growth in height. Okay? And stunting. Ito yung sasabi natin kanina, diba? Stunted, wasted. No? So when you say stunting, okay, this implies that for a long period of time, parang mula pagkabata, then several years will pass, no, the patient is receiving inadequate nutrition. Okay? So, or the child has suffered repeated infection affecting his or her growth. Okay? As stunted child, they have normal weight for height but have low weight for age due to shortness. Okay? So there are times, no, as you can see, no, lalo na sa mga depressed areas, no, you can see, no, yung mga bata doon, tumatakbo sila, no, they will come to you, or for example, in a government school, okay, you can see that the children there, no, especially those in grade 4, grade 5, grade 6 kids, no, as you can see them or compare them to other well-off children, you can see the difference, no, the discrepancy when it comes to the height of these children. Okay, pero makikita mo yung iba, grade 4, grade 5 na pala, 11 years old na pala, but they are very short. Okay, para silang kindergarten lang kung titingnan mo, or you can compare them to other children. Okay, because of the stunting. Okay. Now, weight for length or height is a reliable growth indicator even when the age is not known. Okay, so the weight for length, you just get the weight, you get the length of the child. No? So reliable growth indicator na siya kahit hindi mo alam yung edad ng bata. Okay, now, the wasting, no, usually results from a recent severe event. Okay, like for example, severe disease, no, prolonged hospitalization, okay? So, or this can be brought about by drastically reduced food intake, okay? So, this will lead to weight loss talaga. Yung lalo yung mga nagda-diet, yung crash diet na yan, no? Makikita mo when they try to weigh themselves, biglang papayat sila, babagsak sila. Okay, so wasting, okay? So the BMI for age, no, classifies children in a similar manner to weight for length or height. Okay. Now, how to interpret, no, different trends, no, in your growth charts. Okay. As clinicians, we should be alert, no, in different situations that may indicate a problem or risk. Like for example, a child's growth line crosses a z-score line. Okay. So a child crosses a z-score line. Okay. Like for example, this first growth chart, as you can see, no, this is plotted the age of the child versus the length. Okay, so we all know that the child, no, the age will progress, no, even without proper nourishment. Talagang magbe-birthday yung bata. Tatanda, no, the age will just increase yearly. Hindi natin makokontrol yun. So the age will what? the child will grow older, okay, as years go by. But then the question is, how is the length of that patient? So, like for example, this one, okay, as you can see, first, andito siya sa yellow line, and then after a few months, andito na siya, and then at 1 year of age, no? Okay, nasa -2 na siya, no? And then, nag-increase ulit after a few months, okay? Nagko-cross na naman siya, approaching your -3 z-score line. Okay, so this should call your attention. Okay, so you should not just be focused on treating your child, no, when he or she repeatedly comes to your clinic, no, but you should also take note of the growth of that child. Okay, kasi it's also our responsibility for the holistic development of your patient. Okay. Now, the second one is if there is a sharp incline or decline in the child's growth line. Okay, so for example, this one, no, increasing on trend, then the sudden drop. You ask, no, or you investigate what happened in this particular point. Bakit biglang bumagsak? Okay, so it's more practical. No? Again, di ba, I told you, you should always make sure that you have, each patient should have his or her own growth chart in her record. Okay, and then when you plot a particular point, no, I sometimes put on the date. Okay, put on the date when the child was seen. Okay, para lang mas madali lang siyang ma-detect, no, ma-trace in your record when the child was seen in that particular point, no. Okay. Now, the other one is if the child's growth line remains flat. Okay, so this one flat. Okay, so like for example, this one, the weight versus the height. Okay, so this is the height of the patient, okay, and the weight. Okay, so the height is increasing, but then the weight is not increasing. So what's happening? So, hindi siya tumataba. Okay, humahaba lang. You still need to investigate. Okay. Now, classification of growth status, no? We have the moderate acute malnutrition, no? Especially those between -2 and -3, and your severe acute malnutrition when it falls below -3. Okay, we are using the weight for length or height. Okay. So for your weight for length, okay, this is an example, no? Okay, we have your severe acute malnutrition and your moderate acute malnutrition. Okay. So when you say acute malnutrition, again, this pertains to your wasting. Okay, acute malnutrition. Now, flash before you is just the prevalence of malnutrition here in the Philippines. No, this is way back 2015, no, although we have no recent data yet. Okay. So as you can see, no, as years go by, okay, those with stunting, there is somehow a decreasing trend, no, as years go by when it comes to children, no, the frequency of children, okay, who are stunted, okay, and then those who are underweight, somehow medyo nag-plateau, but still, no, there is still prevalence, no, of malnutrition in our children, okay. And then of overweight, no, the pink line, okay, as you can see in 2015, 3.9, no, are obese, okay, overweight for height, okay, and wasting, 7.1. Okay, so medyo mataas pa rin. Okay, so we should always be alert, okay, in detecting malnutrition in our kids. So in summary, I was able to talk about the anthropometric, clinical assessment, no? And then the different growth charts as well, the different record books that we are using, okay, in our centers and in the private practice. And of course, how to plot the different growth charts and how to interpret. Okay. Now let's move on to the nutritional requirements. So we have the nutrients. So these are the active elements of food that our body need, no, to function very well. Okay. Now, what are the nutritional requirements? No, this refers to the quantity of energy and of nutrients, so expressed on a daily basis. Okay, that will allow okay, that will allow us to have good health and to develop and lead a normal life. Okay. So this vary, the nutritional requirements vary according to age, the gender, the body weight, level of activity, and of course, the physiological status of your patient. Like for example, the women, those who are breastfeeding and currently pregnant. Okay. So the nutritional requirement, every nutrient has a distribution of requirements described by a median, okay, or your estimated average requirement. Okay. So this is usually assumed to be normally distributed. Okay, so daily intake value estimated to meet the requirement in 50% of the individuals in a life stage or gender group. So what is RENI? This is the recommended energy and nutrient intake. This is the current one that we are using. Before it was RDA. Okay, your recommended dietary allowance. Okay, we are now using RENI to emphasize that standards are in terms of nutrients and not the type of food or diet that the person is taking. Okay, so amount of nutrients are what we are considering now, not the type of food. Okay, so in definition, this is the level of intake of energy and nutrients, which on the basis of current scientific knowledge are considered adequate, okay, of nearly all healthy persons in the population. Okay. So how about nutrient adequacy? No, nutrient requirement always is related to a specific criterion of adequacy. Okay, so 100% adequacy should always be the goal. Okay, so this refers to the state of nutrient intake that is sufficient or enough to maintain health and provide reasonable levels of reserves in body tissues. Kasi di ba most of the time, some families, especially those in the depressed areas, the purpose of feeding their kids is just to make them feel full. They are not considering anymore the nutrient value, the nutritional value of the food they are giving. Like for example, just one piece of instant noodles, just mix it with more water, okay, and then mix it with more salt, okay, and stretch it to, for example, to 7 children, just one pack. So imagine that. The purpose is just feeding them and make them feel full, okay, but not really concerned anymore if it is nutritious enough or not. Okay. So yun yung common scenario. Okay. So this will not give them reasonable levels of reserve in the body tissues. Okay. So parang binusog mo lang. Pero hindi mo talaga ni-nourish yung bata. Okay. So according to the Philippine Dietary Reference Intake, these are the included nutrients. Okay. We have the macronutrients, the vitamins, and the minerals. In the macronutrients, we have your protein, carbohydrates, the total fat, dietary fiber, and your water. Okay. So for the vitamins, we have the following, the soluble and water-soluble vitamins. Okay. For the minerals, we have iron, zinc, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, chloride, iodine, okay, and so on. Okay. Aside from that, aside from the proteins, carbohydrates, water, the PDRI also included the 2 fatty acids, the omega-3 and the omega-6 fatty acids. Okay, they are considered now part of the macronutrient that is required or recommended to be taken by the people, not just kids. Okay. Now, what are the at-risk nutrients? Okay, at risk. So ito yung most of the time deficient or lacking. Okay. So at greatest risk of deficiencies, for deficiencies, are the vitamins A and D, the iron, zinc, and iodine. Okay, this is according to WHO. Okay. So what is the recommendation? Supply infants and toddlers with the nutrients, that are at most risk of deficiency. Okay, which is again, your iodine, iron, vitamin A, vitamin D, and your zinc. So most of the time, you can see, yung label, we should always read the label. Tell the parents to read the label, lalo kung mag-grocery sila, there's the so-called food fortification. If fortified with iodine, fortified with vitamin A, piliin nila iyon hanggang as much as possible, fortified with iron, okay? So because these are very helpful, no, in maintaining the health of their children. Okay, so food fortification, naging part ito ng a program of our Department of Health. Okay, so they are promoting. Aside from that, supplementation, no, vitamin A supplementation, they are given for free in our health centers, no, and even encourage, no, mommies or the parents to use iodized salt in their cooking, especially for their kids. Okay? So what are the reasons, no, for making sure that the following nutrients are in good amount for the children? Because these nutrients play critical roles, no, in the vision, the growth, the immunity, no, bone mineralization, and of course your cognitive development, especially your iodine. Okay? So very important. So this is just the prevalence, no, of the micronutrient deficiency in school-age children. This is way back 2008. We don't have recent data yet, no, but it just shows us that in the Philippines, no, there's 19.8% no deficient in iron. Although globally, no, hindi lang Pilipinas, okay, not only the Philippines, but all over the world, no, there are children who are deficient with iron. Okay, and then zinc. Okay, 33% globally, 20.6% here in our country. So zinc pa rin, mataas pa rin ang deficiency sa zinc. Vitamin A as well, and of course your iodine. Okay. Now, this is the, according to the age group, no, the RENI, okay? Flash before you, no, again, the age group, and this is the weight according to gender, the male and the female, and the kilocalories required, okay? So for 0 to 5 months, for example, 620 kilocalories for males and 560 for females, okay? And so on, okay, as you can see, okay? But here in this part, you can see that pregnant or lactating women or those breastfeeding, they have additional 300 kilocalories required, no, for their daily intake of nutrients, okay? And for those breastfeeding, plus 500 kilocalories. Okay. So again, acceptable, no, macronutrient, okay, distribution range, okay. So we have your protein, the total fat, and the carbohydrates, no. For children 0 to 5 months, the protein required is just 5, okay, 5% of the energy, no. 5 will be enough for infants. Kaya nga, diba, as you can see, as you can remember in your breastfeeding, our lecture on breastfeeding, na hindi ganun kataas talaga yung protein content of your breast milk. But it's fine because that's already enough for children or for babies 0 to 5 months of age, lalo na exclusively breastfed. Okay? By the time they are 6 months, they can start with complementary feeding. Okay? So they also require 40 to 60% fat and carbohydrate as well. Okay? So for children naman, no, almost the same, no, when it comes to your protein, no, 6 to 15%. The total fat will be much less, no, as compared to infants. Okay? And the carbohydrate will be a lot higher as compared to infants. Okay? So energy talaga ang kailangan. Okay? In adults, no, more than 19 years old and up, okay, protein is 10 to 15, 15 to 30 total fat required. So it's much less. Okay, so means to say we should cut off the fat intake in 19 years of age. Okay, carbohydrate requirement, 55 to 75. Okay, so this is the nutrient intake, the recommended nutrient intake, okay, according to weight, yeah, according to the weight. Okay, so this is weight in kilograms. Okay, so these are the different range of your weight. Okay, and then the energy or the kilocalories. Okay, the required. Okay, and this table, this column here is your protein in grams. Okay, so for children, usually in this range of weight, okay, children, pediatric age group. So you can see that this is the protein requirement of 18, 22, for those weighing 59 kilos, 73 grams of protein is required. How about essential fatty acids? 0.5% will be enough. And almost the same, 2.2% naman for your linolenic acid. The dietary fiber, on the other hand, into grams, 11 to 14, 15 to 17 for those weighing 33 kilos. And here, in this last column, will be the water requirement. Diba kasama ang water sa nutrients, no? Kasama siya dapat. So you can see here, no, for children, again, no, so somehow we will have an idea, those 17 kilos, 23 kilos, no, so alam natin, pediatric age group pa rin yan, So as you can see here, 1.6 liters, no, or those weighing 33 kilos, boys, no, 33 kilos na boys, they are required to take at least 2 liters of water. Or 2,000 ml of water daily. So meaning to say around 8 glasses of water is required for pediatric age, especially the school age children. They should at least somehow manage to take in 8 glasses of water because 8 glasses somehow equivalent to 2 liters. So ganun din dito sa adult. 2 liters pa rin. So we should always remind them or always na ask the children, no, if they want water. If do not, because sometimes kasi they are taking too much time, no, they're too busy with their gadgets or with their online class, too busy playing, no. So as parents, we should remind the parents, no, to always offer water to their children. Kasi talaga minsan tamad sila uminom. So you should always offer water to the kids. Lalo na yung pawisin. So this one are the different vitamins, no? So we have the vitamin A, no? Vitamin B, this is the requirement. So in the absence of adequate exposure to sunlight, no, as calciferol, 1 microgram of calciferol is equivalent to 40 IU vitamin B. So usually naman pag ma-expose sa sunlight pa rin requirement natin for vitamin D, especially in newborns. So we also offer vitamin A supplementation. But we know that vitamin A is richly found in your in your carotenoids or yung ating mga yellow vegetable. The carrots, yan, napataas sila sa beta carotene. So we just focus on iron, zinc, and iodine. So these are the different recommendations for the iron or recommended nutrient intake, no? Iron, zinc, and your iodine. So again, no, usually these nutrients are not met by diet alone. The iodine, the zinc, and the iron. So we can also give supplementation like your multivitamins or food fortification to make sure that the child is having enough iron, zinc, and iodine. Kaya mga multivitamins, syrups, so they are suggested, especially in high-risk children of malnutrition. So what are the additional recommendations? So we have the free sugars. No, we should limit intake to less than 10% of total energy in children and adults. The sodium, the salt, no, should limit intake to less than 2 grams. Not just in adults, but also in kids. And of course, the potassium, we should increase the intake, no, in adults, up to 3,510 milligrams. So yun. So I think that's my last slide. Thank you very much for listening. Good day.